Welcome to this mock interview, DevOps and Cloud Labs. We will try to assess where you stand in this mock interview. This is not a
Yes,
real interview, so it's fine.
yes,
We'll go through a bit of simple questions, then medium, and then scenario based, and bunch of questions to
sure,
assess. I'll make some notes
sure.
and give you a feedback
Okay,
towards the end.
okay, okay, sure, no issue.
First, I want to understand a little bit about yourself, what sort of experience you bring, what sort of knowledge you have out of your total experience. How are you explaining it to the recruiters? How much of DevOps and cloud experience you have?
Okay. So myself, Sunny Shettikas, I have a overall 10 plus year of experience into testing, some part of the development support, and relevant to DevOps, I have a 3 plus years of experience, close to 4 years. So I used to means as a DevOps engineering. So how you will collaborate communication with different team members like development operations, so how you will build this integrated those things and will make the robust things using any cloud platform like AWS, Azure, and so. My day-to-day activities, I can since how you will handling and provisioning those, managing those applications requires a strong skills of automations, how robust in your to using those tools and how your strategic those approaches. So I worked on managing that instances that like in EC2, so multiple instances in multiple environments like development, staging, and production. So using this Terraform, I wrote this template to define our infrastructure. So while I executed all this, I've created, means I have used those existing template and implemented this into deploy resources like VPC, security groups, EC2 instance, and RDS. So this will create our resource into that. So once we will done with our creating our resources, so how we are making our approaches to build our CI process like CI/CD process, like to achieve this CI/CD process. So we have used as a Jenkins as a orchestration, like with and integrated with different tools like Maven, Sonar, AppScan, Docker, Kubernetes, using good tools like Arco CD. So we have using this to build because we have worked into Java application microservices. So in our organization, what else? Whenever we are using a GitHub source code repository, so whenever developer commits that source code into that repository, so Jenkins pipeline, it's automatically trigger as part of your Jenkins this thing. So it will pull code from the GitHub repository, and once the good means code has been pulled and the checkout, then our next stage will be we are building our code using this Maven build process. So once the building Maven process has been completed, so our next thing is to check the code quality. So for code quality, we are using the Sonar, like code quality is very vulnerabilities, any securities, those things. So as a DevOps engineers, I used to use the scan for using the security testing like SAST and Dash. SAST, well, just now I told this we are using static application security testing, and for Dynamics. So once we will check out all those requirements and install all dependencies, so we need to scan. So I used to Trivi FS scan. So that's locally it should be a very less security, so that we cannot compromise our security. So for deployment for CD continuously, we promote our application on using this Kubernetes, like Kubernetes servers to deploy those things. And you have used the GitOps tool like Argo CD. So it is like a single truth of, I can say that. So it is development with multiple those things. So it basically it is not only developing those, but it is looks for the manifest file in a Git repository where we can change over, means we can change over once the application is built. So once the application image has been updated or something has been changes in the GitHub repository, Argo CD means it will looks for that image and it will deploy into our target, that is a Kubernetes cluster. So this is the overall, I can say that this is, and we also for monitoring purpose, we also integrated Prometheus Graphonet to monitoring those things, any matrix kind of CPU utilization or network disks, all these things. So this is the way I used to work into day-to-day life activities on DevOps.
Okay. Okay, good. Have you memorized this or you have written it somewhere because you were talking in a flow or
No, actually, just I just want to means how we can means explain those things. Yeah, these things. Yeah.
okay. It was too detailed for an introduction, I would say. You can brief it.
Okay.
No. But yeah, gives me a good idea. So you have 10 plus 12 years of experience?
Yeah, means 12 years means before, means I can say 10, it is 12 years is on, but 10 years in total IT into automation, support, some part of development, earlier managers. So currently I was in a technical lead, so managing implementation of SIT and UAT, but I make these things as a, into DevOps because I used to do all these
Now,
tools, learns,
thing is,
building
at
over
ground
my.
level, what was your role in this entire project that you explained in this CI/CD? Were you leading this?
My No, in that my role is yeah, I'm also leading as well as I'm also preparing all those means integrating those tools and preparing our CI process to enhance those means use those tools and enhance those integrated to delivery perspective, still the
Where is
production
Kubernetes
deployment.
cluster hosted?
Sorry.
Where is your Kubernetes cluster hosted?
Kubernetes cluster hosted, we are using this AWS using this EKS. So we are using the AWS resource for we are creating that Kubernetes clusters on that. In that, we are just deploying our applications using.
How do you, what is high availability in cloud or in general in software?
High availability, for making the high availability that particular applications in the cloud, we have to use means in any EC2 instance, in that EC2 instance we have applications, that means we were using the auto scaling onto that. In auto scaling, if you want to make a high availability, so we have to use the auto scaling to whenever depends upon the traffic, whenever the traffic, for example, I can say that any e-commerce based application or any net banking application, whenever the users are very low, is means whenever users are very means large in terms of this, so that times that auto scaling groups we need to configure those in auto scaling groups into a load balancer. So the auto scaling groups based on the traffic, it
Please
will
slow down, slow
based on
down,
the
slow down,
yeah,
little bit slow down.
yeah. So based on the means traffic and this thing peak, so that time it will
What is
maximize the.
scalability? What is the
Yeah,
difference
yeah.
between scalability and high availability?
Scalability and high availability.
My question was around high
High
availability.
availability, yes.
What you are explaining is scalability.
Scalability, okay. High availability, I can say that we can use, you can use as a Route 53. We can use as a Route 53 as a domain name system, so that in we can configure those things, and based on that, whenever the user will interact with the application, so that Route 53, what we will, it will create that high availability, so that it will distribute that traffic into the EC2 instance that where means our application has been deployed, so that it gives the high availability. And scalability, just now I explained this auto scaling and all those things. Yeah. So I bit confused between them. It is okay, fine. Got it.
Now you are confused between Route 53 and load balancer. So what is the role of what are these two services? Is Route 53 doing the load balancing or is it the load balancer doing the load balancing?
Actually, I can say that this Route 53, it makes the high availability in terms of the geolocation, but load balancing, it is only that it is routing the distributing that traffic based on the target. These things it will check, even though Route 53 also do that, but it will load balancing it is specific to that regions. But at Route 53, it will, for example, if I having a cloud native dot example, it will convert that this into that IP addresses, and it will route to different based on the geolocation. So we are having a routing policy like simple, weightage, geolocation, and geolocation failure, multi-value answer. So these are the basic, I can say, the difference between that load balancing and Route 53.
Okay. You still diverted away from the question as to what is high availability.
Okay.
53 you said solves it, which I'm not taking that as a right answer, but even if Route 53 solves it, what exactly is high availability? Is it deploying into regions is high availability?
No, it is not deploying, I can say. It is means whenever the more number of users
Mhm.
will access those applications. So in that case, that Route 53 makes you the high availability. Those users will be distributed with among all the work clusters or EC2 instance in that.
Okay. Okay. Do you know any sort of disaster recovery strategy? Have you implemented disaster recovery activity?
It is database migrations services you are seeing, means disaster DR. No, I have not. In terms of disaster recovery, means I have not, but I know that means it is means any servers this we have a backup of those disaster recovery. Okay, disaster recovery is nothing but if any something it any natural calamity something it has happened that the main primary server, so we can retrieve those from the disaster recovery server. So that is our DR server. So what it's a replication of I can say that a production servers.
So what are the options as a cloud engineer or as a DevOps engineer? What options do you have in terms of disaster recovery? So if I'm running my application, where is my disaster recovery server and how do I manage it?
Means disaster recovery means managing those things means whatever we are having our main so to back up those these things that it will be in a some other region or any other location that DR. Okay, but we want to ensure that we have to be a our main server it should be sync DR should be sync with the main server. So whatever our activities will be performed into this, so it will be a reflected. It should be a sync to our DR so that if any such things happens in accidentally, so we can use those DR server to replicate to use our into the main servers to create any infrastructure.
How frequently you would replicate this from production to DR?
How frequently, whenever means whenever there is a migration activity, that time I can say we are using those things. Whenever that migration activity, something that hardware upgrade or something that version upgrade, some from 1.5 to 2.5, that time we have to use this disaster recovery, all those stuffs. Or there may be different team where will be running means executing the means based on that governance and compliance on the data these things to test those application into DR to perform their activities. I can say that as per my experience when from last this thing.
Okay. Okay. Are you getting frequent interview calls? How is the situation?
I can say September I have not received. From October I can say it is receiving.
Mhm.
Based on that, because I am a immediate joiner, that is the reason it is because thing is that I am a immediate joiner, that is the reason I'm getting at least it's a week or two calls, at least week or
That
two
means
calls
you
I'm
have an
getting.
offer in hand.
Sorry.
How are you an immediate joiner? Because you have some offer.
Thing is that to be very frank, I was into DXC technologies. Okay, in that DXC technologies, I was into some dedicated client of that Bank of Mauritius. Okay, so last year, so I they have recruited for more those for a client. So after that, that project has got over. Means last month only it has got over. So before getting over, I am just searching for projects because they have the summer. But unfortunately, that project is because they don't have a project with my base of skill set. So they are asking me to do some other thing, these things. So that time means I took 1 month. So I am searching for this DevOps and integrate any means DevOps engineering ground level also any technical, but I'm not got that opportunity, but they're asking to do some other thing because they don't have that much projects as a globally here as well as in a Asia specific. So I thought okay, I quit those things and I will full fledged I will focus into this day.
In your introduction, because you have testing background, you didn't mention much on the how do you do testing and that integrating test framework into your pipeline.
Basically means testing I have not means base I used to do earlier. That is
Mhm.
the reason. Now I just want to focus into only DevOps tool. That is the reason I just kept off this thing because
Your
if
perspective
I
how testing is related to DevOps or how testing can be integrated into DevOps?
yeah, it is. It should be wherever that means wherever that UAT or any QA environment. So we
Mhm.
can integrate those things into CI pipelines, and so that they can test that to ensure smooth any vulnerabilities to checks. Any means they can perform that regression in part of because it's a early stage. In that early stage, we can address those issues, any critical issues, any
But
blockers. I
why
can
did you
say
not
that.
suggest it? Was it not needed in your project?
Sorry,
In your project,
sorry.
this was not needed to do testing in your CI/CD process.
Yeah, it is absolutely is it is a needed the testing, but the testing would be for from other team that we have that they have the testing team. So with the different parameters these things, but mostly
Have you used
yeah.
Selenium into CI/CD process?
Yes. So Selenium, yes, we have used that into integrated these things.
Do you know how to do that?
These things Selenium for basically means in Jenkins, we can integrate, we can get those plugins and we can integrate those into CI/CD. That process, I know that these things. So we can integrate anything. We need a plugins, all those things, and so we can testing team will perform their activities to execute those things. There are test cases based on that functionality or any application.
Let's move on to a bit of infrastructure. Want to understand a little bit about, do you know what is public subnets and private subnets?
Yes.
So if you can briefly explain.
Yeah. Sure. So while we are creating our VPC, VPC is a virtual private network. Okay. In that, once we will create our VPC, we will specify that CID blocks, that is IP addresses. So once that VPC, then under that VPC, within VPC, we have a public and
Help me
private
to
subnet.
understand what is public subnet and private subnet. Like
Okay.
theoretically.
Public, yeah, okay. Public subnet and private subnet. Public subnet is nothing but whenever from users want to access application, means outside the users and users want to access this into, so we have to use that public subnet so that they can route through from the, for that public subnet. In that public subnet we have to define our internet gateway so that they can access to that and they can use those application because we this thing. And private subnet, because for private subnets, whatever the application also, it will be in a private subnet. That is the reason so that the user wants to take this internet gateway and it routes from the public and it will go to the route table, and in load balancer, this route or load balancer, it will distribute and it will access to the private, because we cannot expose our these things, means our application, so that is a private. And if private subnet wants to communicate with the internet, so we have to use the NAT gateway, so that if any want to update or any packages, if they want any curl, means in while for example in Google's.
For example, say your website, you are planning to host customer facing website, which is over the internet, and the application has index. So wherever this index stored, that will be in a public subnet.
Correct, correct. Yes, correct.
Index to database, then where the
Database would be in a private subnet only because we cannot expose these things. It will always be in a private
think
subnet.
about it one more time. Is a server hosting EC2 instance where index is there, that is always going to be in public subnet if I have to access it over the internet.
No, this would be in a private only. I don't think so. It's public. Only the public subnet whenever that user wants to access from the outside of VPC. So that times that they should route from the public subnet. Before public subnet, if any user wants to access, just now I said that we have to use the internet gateway. From the internet gateway, it will go from the public and from public. So if you have set up our load balancer, from load balancer, we need a resource to route table, so that from the routes it will go to the target wherever EC2 instance is there. It is there in a private subnet. Sorry,
EC2 will be in private subnet. Cool.
private subnet. Yes.
Okay. Do you know RPO and RTO? What is the difference between these two? Or what are
RPO, RPO, and
RTO?
uh, this is the AWS, but I'm not remembered now. As of now, I
No worries.
yeah,
You have mainly worked
RPO,
in which industry? Financial, is it? Mainly bank?
banking,
Banking.
banking,
Okay.
banking.
So let's say a bank has 1,000 AWS accounts.
Okay.
What, give me like five scenarios that you will tell them that to manage 1,000 AWS accounts, are they doing this? Are they doing those activities? Or what you would suggest them that they should be doing? What services they should
Mm,
be using? What tools they should be using? How do someone, like if you are the DevOps engineer, how would you look at 1,000 accounts? Will you log into 1,000 accounts? one by one every day and check somebody's not doing wrong things? How do you manage 1,000 accounts?
Mm, for 1,000 accounts in banking application
Very
means which
common in
services?
financial companies to have these many accounts.
Yes, correct.
People.
Yeah, I can say that means in this in cloud, if your that particular banking application are moving from on-premises to cloud.
Mhm.
So before while moving to, so we have to set up our means centralize, I can say that means AWS control tower so that it will manage all of those respective teams like audit and logs and security teams. So I can say that means managing our means a large number of applications and to that. So it will give our means in that we can use our these things to means like how IMA policy we are using in that we can use as means IMA identity centers to make this from on premises to our this to cloud, because cloud is nothing but it's a public only, correct? So that we are to managing those things, so we have to use this thing, then we base on that requirement of different teams, so we will use over that policies, IMA this identity center policies, all those stuffs. So I can say this time this much only.
Hmm. So control tower will help you manage those accounts. Will it bring the
Yes.
visibility across all of them?
Sorry.
Will it bring the visibility across 1,000 accounts? What's happening in those accounts?
That yeah, so it will give visibility for all the accounts whoever means accessing and whatever it is this. So because basically we have while we are setting those things, so we have enabled that cloud trial also, so that will be managed by this AWS this control tower. So whatever the activity is happening, whichever the services we are using based on our requirement, so it will be logs overall all our activities in that particular
Must
this
be
thing. So it
AWS
will,
certified, right?
sorry?
You must be AWS certified.
No, I just planning for next month.
Must
I'm
be.
because now actually because I have done this solution architecture, but I have not opt for because in between I went to Bangalore for my implementation, all those things. Then later on I decided so next month I will pursue for AWS developer associates these things. So it will be great. Then I will apply for Terraform also. In the meantime, I'm doing both things.
Hmm.
Yesterday I got learn some Packers tools also.
Right, right. Because you have a lot of theoretical knowledge, I don't see that hands-on part implemented that well. Is it true?
Means hands-on means I used to do means 2 years back. So now I'm just whenever this integration part, all these things. So that time I am doing those things because simultaneously I'm doing that also, but
That is the
mostly
strategy, right? You will suggest doing control tower. What about the other few things? What else you would tell them?
other things means other things I will tell them based on the requirement of client. So I will suggest accordingly the which services we can use for this.
Okay. So at your level, at total 10 plus years of experience, may not give you the requirements. Customer may tell you their problem.
Okay,
I have 1,000
okay,
accounts to manage. That's my problem. I don't know what's happening in those accounts. You give
okay,
solution, right?
okay, okay.
So it's not
Uh,
always, especially for DevOps
yes,
cloud roles, it's not always that requirements will,
yeah,
you will have to
absolutely.
those requirements.
Yes, correct. I agree on that.
Uh, you just think for these kind of questions or use cases, think what you would suggest to a customer.
Okay,
Okay.
okay,
Can you give me now again, can you give me three different ways how you can reduce cost in cloud? How
okay.
you can
Cost of
optimize cost for now? Customer has come back that I'm paying so much millions of dollars in my cloud bill. Can you suggest me something? How can I reduce it?
see basically see when we are planning from on premises to the cloud. Okay, so
Mhm.
that means if we use our services in a efficiently manner. or we can proactively use those things services. So in that point only that cloud our cloud cost of optimization will be go down. Okay. See, whenever I can say that in the real time scenarios, if we have a EC2 instance, and that EC2 instance we have that EBS volumes, and we have created that backups like snapshots. Backup is nothing but snapshot, and that snapshots it will and when in some in after the years and these things that EC2 instance has been not been used. Okay. And someone has been deleted that EC2 instance because it has been not been used, and in that scenarios and that but they have deleted those EC2 instance, but that snapshot is still there, and this things we can use different approaches. Like I can say we can integrate those things into a monitoring purpose, so monitoring tools like CloudWatch. We can use those things, and we can notificate those things, and we can trigger those event using that SNS these things. So this is the this we I can say that these things, and all along with that we can make our Python scripts. Okay, Python script language, any scripting language. So if I will make some functions to write those things, if that EC2 instance or it is not being used and till this period, some for example is 30 days and it's not being used,
How
so
is
and it
it
is
not
attached.
being used?
Sorry.
How will you know that it's not being used?
So using from the CloudWatch, we have integrated with the CloudWatch. It has been CloudWatch, and also we have integrated with our S3 S3 buckets. So it has been there. So we can, or also we can use this S3 policy also.
Just
So it will.
that the instance is not used or used. What is not used instance?
Means it any if we are having a some legacy kind of systems or some things, and it has been not of frequently it has been not used, I can say that times we
You know
can.
it's not used, but you that's how you will come to know.
No, means it any activity is not performing on that particular instance. That time we will come to know within a tat around time. And any means if you are enabling of 30 days, that time we can means notified for other users from developer teams or any this thing. So we can notify those things, and we can notify those things because this instances has been not been used from this and this period, and then we can ask them to delete, or we as a DevOps engineer we have to delete with, and whatever that it has been attached that volume as snapshot we can create it, and that's how we can optimize those things. This is the way I can optimize those things. There may be a several things to how we can use that, and also we can use as a serverless like lambda function for a quick action. That times also we can use our cost optimization, but it will charge based on our that per second. But we have to ensure that wherever we are required, because it's a serverless. Once for example I can take, if you're ordering, we are going from that app, and we are ordering, and we are just creating and we are placing that order. That means our users job has been done, and in that means then it's created the infrastructure, and it is destroyed the infrastructure, like how that lambda function works. So we can make use of those functions to perform our cost optimization perspectives, I can say that.
Okay. All right. Again, pretty theoretical answer could be what you have done in your role. Every customer is cost sensitive, so what you have done is probably better.
Okay.
False.
Okay.
Now, is hypothetical scenario you are working for a bank in US. Your
Okay.
manager comes to and tells you that the application that you are supporting in US, they are
Okay.
launching it in UK as well.
Okay.
So, what questions you would ask them after that?
Sorry, could you repeat the fear if having?
You have banking application, which
Okay.
is working fine. You are managing that application in cloud for your company.
Okay.
They want to launch this in, say, UK as well.
Okay.
So, what sort of questions you would ask them? Because you have to support it in UK, you have to deploy this in for UK customers. So, what
Okay.
questions would you be asking them?
Questions I would be asked. Mm,
You would ask like how many users in UK because you have
Yeah,
to.
correct. Yeah, so yeah, first question would be, yeah, that's how many users on that particular regions into that. And yeah, so this just now you also told that how many users I can say, and based on the regions I will ask, means how will it means how much that availability zone we need to set up on that particular that regions. And also we need to this means availability zones, these things. And which are the based on that means first I will understand the means minimum requirements from them. So based on that requirements, so I will suggest that these services would be we can prefer. So in this requirement I can means I can put on tables to them, so these are the service we can use based on
Let
this.
me ask
And
it in a different way. Let me
okay.
ask the same question in a different way. You are
Okay.
managing an application, your bank is running an application in US. Your manager
Okay.
says that we have to launch it for our UK customers.
Okay.
He says that why can't we use the same URL, everything, and just launch it as a new, like what sort of what changes are needed for you to launch it in UK? He wants to understand this. Do you really have to deploy it in Europe for your Europe customers?
Mm,
Is Facebook hosted in US or UK?
okay.
Is it hosted in
Okay.
UK or US?
It's US only.
Facebook is hosted in US, right? You don't have it in UK.
Yes. UK, correct.
So why do you have to deploy it in UK? Your banking application. Your UK customers can use your US application, right?
Yes. Yes, they can use that. Yes,
Right?
they can use that. Yeah. So I think so we don't need to deploy into that. We can use the concept, means use the services. This means I can say that nearest means using that Route 53 content delivery network. I can say that we can use those things, route and this and
I got
base.
I got a good idea, Sanit. You have very superficial, very high level knowledge. Like that's what I would say. Because you are an immediate joiner, you would get a lot of interview calls. Even with your resume is very well presented, you would get interview calls, but conversion would be very difficult. You would be
Okay.
lucky if somebody needs a mix of test automation, DevOps, a bit of everything. Maybe
Okay.
maybe a good fit for a service company where they look for these all-rounder kind of profiles.
Okay.
If I look
Okay.
at your DevOps and cloud experience, it's not coming out as you have implemented these systems or have a because you have 10 plus. 10 plus is massive, right? Even
Yes, massive.
not in DevOps and cloud, right? It's in IT.
Yes.
So if I'm
Yes,
asking
IT.
you about RPO, RTO, or you have not heard. So if I'm asking you about disaster recovery, most of your answers are you have some idea, you have heard about those terms, you have seen people doing something around it, but your own point of view or your own experience is not coming out that strong.
Okay. Okay.
So even with this deployment, I just had to tweak you a little bit, and you started agree that Facebook is hosted in US because it's a US company or that sort of thing, right? Or you
Okay.
have the
Okay.
right questions ready if something is to be some banking application because you are in financial company.
Okay.
What is compliance? What,
And company
right?
rights,
You
governance.
cannot,
Yes.
you're, you will ask those questions.
Correct.
Maybe they
Yes,
can use
company.
US deployment. Maybe they cannot.
Correct.
You would ask them.
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
Do my customers in Europe needs their data in Europe, their data compliance or application compliance? You don't have thoughts around that. So that's the reason. Uh, I think you would be compared with architects. What you explained in the beginning was a CI/CD process. A DevOps engineer can do it. Somebody with like in you like anybody doing the mentorship or internship in 2 or 3 months can do that sort of work.
Okay.
It's not
Okay.
passive. You need to bring
Okay.
this differentiator that, and your differentiation is only your experience. So you have to be at
Okay.
10 plus.
Okay.
Um,
Got it. Got it.
that
Yeah.
that next, and
Got it.
also your terminology, like when you are speaking, it's coming up as a somebody who is not well prepared, like those terms
Okay.
and technology, the things that you would expect. Like I have to tell
Okay.
a number of users being added, you want to increase the workloads is called scalability. You should be telling me that this is horizontal scaling. I'll do vertical scaling first, then I'll look at horizontal scaling options,
Okay.
microservices or deployments.
Okay.
When I was
Okay.
talking about a disaster recovery, you should be telling me that depending upon customers, I'll look at blue, green, or rolling updates, or those technical terms, technology things.
Okay. Okay.
I didn't hear any tech jargon, any tech word from in this interview discussion. It should be giving confidence that yes, I have been reading, I read blogs, I'm certified, I watch YouTube videos, or I watch content which gives me technical knowledge.
Okay.
Talk about those terms, talk about those
Okay.
tech.
Got it. Got it. Got it, got it. This is related to that, yeah, deployment and compliance, yeah. Yeah, I because in during those time it will be not click to be very frank, but
Yeah.
just now you told it is, yeah, now it I'm recollecting, okay, I'm not using those terms frequently. So I will ensure that I will use those terms.
For an hour, obviously,
Yeah, yeah, correct.
show your best in that hour, use the right words. Every industry has the right keywords to be used. If you are in
Correct.
environment or real estate, or you, there would be few things you would be talking about
Okay.
land value or something if you are a real estate agent, or you bring those right industry words in your conversation. That
Got
was,
it, got it, got it.
and
Yeah.
in general, I think you are not well prepared at the point at this moment. You need to go
Okay.
a little bit more deep into the area, do more hand,
Okay.
and I hope it
Okay.
will help in that way. So yeah, and
Definitely,
another mock
definitely.
after few weeks when you have actually done those 8 or 10 projects. Then once you have done it, let's do another mock and see how it goes.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. That is the reason I opt for this to gain more hands-on experience, and I will get at least I will use those things into my interviews and I will prepare because from last two session I got to know means how because earlier I means I was thinking that how means companies are using this means use this multiple accounts. Then I came to know this control tower. Then okay, slowly. I also know just now you told this deployment, but I have not used this means as a means while in interview. But I will make sure this I know this how this canary deployment works, how this blue and green, where in which scenarios we have to use those things, this and also this these things. I've done few projects, but I have not used this. But I will ensure that I will make this use in the interview so that I will be prepared well.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay, Sanit.
Yeah.
See you
Yeah.
yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay.